I will marry you, then you will clear my father's debt.
We have a deal.
The night she walked into his office, she expected fear. What she didn't expect was for the most dangerous man in the city to look at her like she was a challenge. Her father owed him millions. Money they would never repay. And everyone knew how men like him collected debt. But she didn't beg. She made an offer. "Marry me," she said, voice steady. "Clear my family's debt. I'll give you 1 year." The room went silent. He could have laughed. He could have refused. He could have destroyed her family with one phone call. Instead, the Mafia boss leaned back in his chair, studied her defiance and said, "Done." She thought she had made a deal with the devil. What she didn't know was that the devil had been watching her long before the debt existed, and he never intended to let her leave. The first time Elena Rossi heard Luca Moretti's name spoken inside her home, it sounded like a sentence being handed down. Her father's hands trembled as he folded the letter. "We'll fix this," he said. But his voice didn't believe it. $3 million. That was the number attached to Luca Moretti, the most feared man in the city's underworld. A man who didn't repeat himself. A man who didn't forgive debt. And her father had signed his name beneath it. The restaurant had failed months ago. Pride kept him borrowing. Hope kept him lying. Now the collectors were done being patient. "They'll give us time," her father insisted. Elena knew better. Men like Luca didn't give time. They took collateral. The next morning, before fear could settle into paralysis, Elena did something no one in her family expected. She went to him. Luca Moretti's office wasn't hidden. It didn't need to be. Power doesn't hide. It waits. 2 men in dark suits stopped her at the entrance. "I'm here about my father's debt," she said calmly. "Tell Luca Elena Rossi is asking for a meeting." They exchanged looks. 5 minutes later, she was inside. The room was silent, except for the low hum of city traffic below. Luca sat behind a wide mahogany desk, sleeves rolled up, dark eyes sharp and unreadable. He didn't stand. He didn't smile. He studied her. "You're not your father," he said. "No," she replied evenly. "I'm the one who handles problems." A flicker of something passed through his expression. Amusement, interest. "You're here to beg?" he asked. "I'm here to negotiate." The air shifted. Men didn't negotiate with Luca Moretti. They pleaded. "My father can't repay you," she continued. "But I can offer you something else." He leaned back slightly. "This should be interesting. Marry me." Silence. Even the guards near the door stiffened. 1 year, she clarified, steady despite her racing pulse. "You clear the debt. My family is untouched. After 1 year, we separate. Clean." Luca's gaze didn't leave her face. "Why would I agree to that?" "Because a marriage alliance gives you legitimacy," she replied. "My family still has political connections, community influence. You gain public stability." It was bold, risky, possibly reckless. He stood slowly, walking around the desk until he was close enough that she could feel the heat of his presence. "You're offering yourself as collateral," he said quietly. "I'm offering you a deal." His eyes darkened, not with anger, with intrigue. After a long moment, he nodded once. "Done." Elena exhaled slowly, hiding her shock. She had expected resistance, threats, a power display. Instead, he extended his hand. "You belong to me for 1 year," Luca said. She took it. What she didn't realize was that Luca Moretti had been watching her long before her father ever owed him $1. And this marriage was never about the debt. The wedding lasted 12 minutes. No flowers, no guests, no music, just signatures. Elena stood beside Luca in a sleek ivory dress she chose not for romance, but for armor. If she was going to walk into a lion's den, she would do it standing tall. The officiant spoke. Papers were signed, rings exchanged. Luca's hand was steady. Hers refused to shake. When it was over, cameras flashed outside the courthouse. News outlets framed it as a strategic alliance between two influential families. No one knew the truth. This wasn't love. It was leverage. The mansion overlooked the city like it owned it. Black gates, stone pillars, security at every corner. As the car pulled inside, Elena felt the weight of what she had done settle on her shoulders. "This is your home now," Luca said calmly. "For 1 year," she corrected. A faint smirk touched his mouth. "We'll see." Inside, the mansion was quiet, almost unnaturally so. Staff moved carefully, respectfully. No one met Luca's eyes directly. Power lived in the air here. He led her upstairs. "You'll have your own wing," he said. "No one enters without permission, including me." She paused. That wasn't part of the deal. He turned to face her fully. "I don't take what isn't given willingly," he said, voice low but firm. "You offered a marriage, not ownership of your body." The statement surprised her. This was the same man rumored to crush rivals without blinking. "You're ruthless," she said carefully. "Yes, but not cruel." His gaze sharpened. "Cruelty is sloppy. I don't do sloppy." For the first time since she walked into his office, Elena felt something unfamiliar, not fear, curiosity. Later that evening, she heard raised voices downstairs. A rival family had violated territory lines. Luca's tone shifted, colder, lethal. She watched from the balcony above as he gave orders, decisive, controlled, merciless. The guards moved instantly. That was the man the city feared. And yet, when he noticed her watching, his expression changed. Not softer, but measured. "You shouldn't be standing there," he said. "I can handle it." "I don't doubt that," he replied. "I doubt them." Protection, not possession. It unsettled her more than intimidation would have. That night, alone in her room, Elena stared at the ceiling. She had married a monster. But monsters didn't set boundaries. They didn't protect without claiming. They didn't offer space. And Luca Moretti had done all three. Downstairs in his office, Luca poured himself a drink and replayed the way she had stood in his doorway, unafraid, unbending. She thought she had entered a contract. What she didn't understand yet was that he had agreed for reasons that had nothing to do with debt and everything to do with her fire. Marriage did not soften their edges. If anything, it sharpened them. Elena refused to behave like decoration. She attended meetings uninvited, asked questions no one else dared to ask, and corrected figures during financial discussions as if she had always belonged at the table. The first time she interrupted one of Luca's captains, the room went still. "That expansion doesn't make sense," she said calmly. pointing at the projected numbers. "You're underestimating enforcement costs," the captain scoffed. "With respect, Mrs. Moretti." "She's right," Luca cut in. Silence. Every head turned toward him. The captain swallowed. Of course. Elena didn't smile, but she felt it, the shift. Later, in private, Luca closed the office door behind them. "You don't hesitate," he observed. "You don't like it," she replied. His eyes darkened slightly. "I don't like when people underestimate you." "That wasn't what I asked." A beat of tension passed between them, charged, electric. "I like that you challenge me," he admitted. "Most people are too afraid." "I'm not most people." "No," he said quietly. "You're not." The peace didn't last. 2 nights later, Elena left the mansion to visit her father's restaurant, now reopened under new management. She insisted on going without a full escort. "I won't live in a cage," she told Luca. "It's not a cage," he replied. "It's protection. I can protect myself." He let her go anyway. That was his first mistake. The black SUV that followed her didn't belong to Luca. By the time she noticed, it was too late. A car blocked her path at an intersection. 2 men stepped out. Not Luca's men. Rival territory. The message was clear. If they couldn't strike Luca directly, they would strike what was closest to him. Elena didn't scream. She stepped out of the car herself. "You're making a mistake," she said steadily. One of the men laughed. "You married one." The next moments moved fast. Headlights flooded the street. Engines roared. Luca's convoy arrived like a storm. What followed was swift and brutal. No hesitation, no negotiation. The men were disarmed in seconds. Luca stepped out last. His face was calm, too calm. He walked straight to Elena first. "Are you hurt?" "No." His jaw tightened slightly. He touched her cheek briefly, checking, not claiming. Then he turned to the men on their knees. That was when Elena saw it fully. The ruthlessness, cold, efficient, unforgiving. "You thought she was leverage," Luca said evenly. "She's a warning." The message was delivered, permanently. Later, back inside the mansion, Elena faced him. "You could have started a war tonight. They started it. Because of me." "No," he corrected softly. "Because they thought you were weak." His gaze locked onto hers. "You're not." For the first time she felt it clearly. He didn't protect her because she was fragile. He protected her because she mattered. And that realization was far more dangerous than fear. After the ambush, security doubled. Guards at every gate. Cars rotating shifts. Silent communication in earpieces. Elena noticed something else too. Luca stopped sleeping. She would pass his office at 2 a.m. and see the light still on. Papers spread across the desk. Surveillance footage paused mid-frame. Whiskey untouched. He wasn't paranoid. He was calculating. 3 days after the incident, she followed him out of the mansion without announcing it. He didn't go to a nightclub. He didn't go to a meeting. He went to a neighborhood on the edge of the city. Older buildings, faded paint, corner stores that had survived decades. Elena stayed back, watching. Children ran toward him. Children. The same men who flinched at his voice stepped aside respectfully here. An elderly woman hugged him tightly. A young boy handed him a drawing. Luca crouched to the child's level. "You're supposed to be studying," he said, but his tone lacked steel. The boy grinned. "I am. Mama says you paid for my school." Elena's breath caught. He funded the entire block. Schools, small businesses, security. Not publicly, quietly, no press, no announcements, just action. When he finally noticed her across the street, his expression shifted, not anger, but resignation. "You followed me?" "Yes." He dismissed his men with a nod and walked toward her. "This is why they're loyal to you," she said softly. "It's why I survived," he corrected. They walked side by side in silence. "I grew up here," he said after a moment. "No protection, no mercy. If someone stronger wanted what you had, they took it. And now you're the stronger one." "Yes." There was no apology in it, only truth. "I built everything so no one could take from me again," he continued. "But power is useless if it doesn't protect something." Eleanor looked at him differently then, not as a crime lord, not as her captor, as a man who had clawed his way out of survival. "Is that what I am?" she asked quietly. "Something you're protecting?" His jaw tightened slightly. "You're not something." The correction was immediate. "You walked into my office knowing I could destroy your family," he said. "You didn't beg. You negotiated. Do you know how rare that is?" She held his gaze. "I'm not afraid of you." "I know." A pause stretched between them. No hostility, no challenge, just awareness. "You should be," he added softly. "Are you warning me?" "No." His eyes darkened, but not with threat, with restraint. "I'm warning myself." The air shifted. For the first time since their marriage, the tension between them wasn't combative. It was charged, real, and dangerously close to becoming something neither of them had planned for. When they returned to the mansion, Elena understood something she hadn't before. Luca Moretti didn't crave control. He craved certainty. And she was the only unpredictable thing in his world. The year passed quietly. No dramatic declarations, no sudden confessions, just shared dinners, late-night conversations, arguments that turned into understanding, silences that felt less like distance and more like comfort. Elena stopped counting days after month 8. That scared her. The contract sat in her drawer, untouched but never forgotten. 1 year. Freedom. That was the deal. On the morning the debt officially cleared, Luca handed her a document across the dining table. "It's done," he said simply. "Your father's account is closed." No celebration, no ceremony, just finality. Elena nodded. "Thank you." The words felt too small for everything that had changed. He watched her carefully. "You're leaving?" It wasn't a question. "Yes." The single word echoed louder than gunfire ever had in that house. He leaned back in his chair, expression unreadable. "When?" "Tomorrow." A muscle moved in his jaw. "You don't want to stay?" She inhaled slowly. "That was never part of the agreement." His gaze sharpened. "And if I want to renegotiate?" Her heart betrayed her first, racing. "You don't negotiate feelings," she said softly. "And I won't stay because I'm obligated." Something flickered in his eyes then. Not anger, fear, barely visible, but real. "Do you think I kept you here because of obligation?" he asked quietly. "I think," she replied carefully. You're used to controlling outcomes, and you're the only one I haven't controlled. The admission hung heavy between them. For the first time, Luca looked uncertain. Not the ruthless strategist, not the untouchable boss. Just a man standing at the edge of losing something he never planned to need. That night, Elena walked through the mansion slowly. The balcony where she had watched him command storms. The office where she challenged him. The hallway where he first told her she wasn't weak. Memories lived in these walls now. And that was the problem. She found him outside, city lights stretching below them. I never asked you to love me, she said quietly. You didn't have to. The answer was immediate. Her breath caught. I won't cage you, he continued. If you walk away tomorrow, no one will stop you. And you? He stepped closer, not touching, just close enough that the air changed. I don't chase, he said. A pause. But for you, I might. The confession wasn't dramatic. It was restrained. And somehow, that made it heavier. Tomorrow, she would be free. But freedom had never felt this complicated. Because the truth neither of them wanted to say aloud was simple. The contract was ending. But the love had just begun. Elena left at sunrise. No dramatic goodbye. No tears in the doorway. Just a suitcase. A quiet nod to the staff. And the heavy sound of iron gates opening. Luca watched from the balcony. He didn't move. He had built his empire on one principle. Never chase what chooses to leave. But this felt different. By noon, the mansion felt wrong. Too quiet. Too controlled. Too empty. He signed papers. Took calls. Gave orders. Efficient. Ruthless. Precise. And completely distracted. By evening, he was standing in his office staring at the chair she used to sit in during meetings, the chair where she corrected his captains without fear. He realized something uncomfortable. She hadn't just lived in his house, she had altered it, and him. For the first time in years, Luca Moretti didn't calculate the risk. He made a decision without strategy. He got in his car. Elena was at her father's reopened restaurant when he arrived. The dinner rush had just ended. The lights were warm, normal. She saw him through the window. Her heart reacted before her pride did. He walked in alone. No guards, no convoy, just him. The room stilled slightly, but he ignored it. I said I don't chase, he began calmly. I was wrong. She swallowed. You don't have to. I'm not here to stop you, he interrupted gently. You're free. The contract is over. The debt is gone. He stepped closer. I'm here because I don't want you free from me. Silence. No threats. No power plays. Just honesty. You walked into my office and offered yourself as leverage, he said. You thought you were making a sacrifice. I was. No, he corrected softly. You were walking into my life. Her breath trembled. I don't need a deal, he continued. I don't need a year. I don't need obligation. His voice lowered. I need you to choose me. The word settled between them, heavier than any contract. She searched his face. There was no arrogance there, no control, just vulnerability, carefully held, but real. You don't scare me, she said quietly. I know. You don't control me. I never wanted to. A long pause. Then she stepped forward. Not because she had to. Not because of debt. Not because of protection. Because she wanted to. I'm not marrying a mafia boss, she said softly. A faint smile touched his lips. Good. She reached for his hand. I'm choosing Luca. And for the first time in his life, the most feared man in the city felt something stronger than power. Peace. Because love, when freely given, is the only thing that cannot be taken.